Uh-oh, are we having chat issues already? I haven't even started yet. It was nice to see that 30 of you were waiting for this to start. Let's see what was happening there. I don't know if I have any mods today or not. It'll be fine. Hey guys! I wanted to first off thank everyone who's bought my new merch. That's been pretty awesome. I'll put a link for you guys in case you had missed it. I also have been getting a bunch of really generous donations lately, and all of these things really help me right now as I haven't been able to ship fish since December, so I just want to make sure I really express to you guys how much I appreciate the support. You guys are from all over the place. I know that this time isn't always ideal for the West Coast Americans or even necessarily the East Coast folks that are have to work, but it really is the best time for me on Fridays. Hey, another Pennsylvania ones. I don't have any new ink, Birdie. I still haven't scheduled my back appointment. You know, tattoos aren't a top priority right now. I'm happy to report it is a little bit warmer today. It's about 75 degrees in the greenhouse. The tubs are sitting around 65 degrees. So if we have a few days like this, then it's way, way more likely that I'll be able to move fish out in time. I'm really stressing about it. You know, there's not a whole lot I can do about the weather. Now, certainly I could move out some of the subtropical stuff this early and it would survive, but the goal was to move out a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, Travis just said the snow isn't done yet. I know we're forecast to get a bunch this weekend. I'm just hoping there won't be any accumulation. I actually don't mind the snow so much because it's a pretty good insulator. I just don't like it when it's really cold. If it would just warm up or at least have the sun out, the greenhouse would be fine because it does generally hover around 30 degrees warmer than what it is outside. So, you know, I have a bunch more plants coming in this week, including some lilies. My husband has really generously offered to help me get my other tubs set up, even if it's after my surgery. Even planting plants, he offered to have me just like point and direct. So I'm really hoping that's going to happen. But I tell you, like, this hurry up and wait thing is driving me absolutely nuts. I just want to get things done. I want to move these fish so I can break down more tanks and apply backgrounds and prep for when I'm better again to be able to reset up the fish room in a better way. But, you know, judging by last year's spring, I would have thought by now I'd have already had fish out because it was so warm, but now it's just not cooperating. But what can you do, right? So the fish room's very much on maintenance mode, as I said yesterday. It's really just maintaining it at this point because everything that's in the fish room, with a few exceptions, has been here for at least 3 or 4 months. So it's fat, it's happy, there's spawns all over the fish room, which really isn't an ideal timing for me. But, you know, happy fish or spawning fish, or spawning fish or happy fish, depending on how you want to look at it. You know, I'm not particularly stressed about the actual surgery itself, although I probably should be more worried than I am. It's more just like maintaining my household. My husband works a lot of hours. I maintain the house and the kids and the shuffling and the shopping and the cooking, and I don't know how all of those things are going to occur either. Now, luckily, my girls are very capable and both can cook and are very willing to help out, but it's still like, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but I have one of those what if brains that just sits and spins about all the various what ifs that could happen, even if they're not at all likely. So I'm having lots of what if moments lately. So, you know, if only we could control those mental impulses, right? But it is what it is, and I'm, you know, the reality is even if I don't get to move any fish out, things will be fine down here. And I just saw someone ask if they can ask questions. Sure, and I'll try and answer them. I miss a lot because the chat moves pretty quickly. 12 and trying to get a greenhouse. That's incredible. Oh, thank you to Q Aquatics. I do have a great support system, and I have so many like fish friends that have offered to come and stay and help me shuffle the kids around and help me maintain the fish room. And again, my husband is very motivated to help me keep things going and take care of things. But you know, for some reason that's not clicking in my actual brain. So, you know, I sit there and I just think about it. Think about it. And you know, having run this fish room absolutely 100% on my own for the past, you know, 15 years, it's hard to let anyone else in to help me, because I am a control freak about what happens down here. So we'll see how it goes, right? No use worrying. If only it was that simple. I do look like pink. I get that almost. I've gotten "you look like pink" said to me almost every day of my life for the past 22 years. I like to say she looks like me because I'm older. The weather is improving, although it's supposed to be bad this weekend. We're supposed to get more snow. I'm going to be out of town this weekend anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me if it snows this weekend because my daughter has a dive meet out of state, so we'll be traveling regardless. So the only good thing is go ahead and ask your question, Andrew. Or if you mean how else can you reach me, you're welcome to email me via my website. My email is everywhere. It's easy to find. Thank you, Lisa. I think the surgery will go well. I'll be in the hospital for I think 3 or 4 days. And then because they already know it's going to be a bit complicated, they're setting me up with a home health nurse for 2 weeks. And then we'll go from there. Do I keep angelfish? No, I don't. I'm not a big angel fan. Plus, they eat my profits. You know, they eat all the little fish that I'm really passionate about. So they're just not a good mix for my aquariums. There's no denying how beautiful angelfish are, and I have kept and bred them in the past, but they're just not in my interests anymore, or at least not right now. Never say never. What's my best advice that I can give for new hobbyists? Really take your time. Don't rush things. Do your research. Don't just believe people like even me from the internet. Try your best to take the time to learn about the fish you're going to be keeping so that you can make good decisions and have good longevity in your aquariums. Will I be doing the fish pimp shirts again? At some point. I'm not sure when. I'm doing these shrimp ones. I have a few ideas of different things I want to do. I also don't want to like oversaturate you guys with a bunch of merch because it doesn't do me any good if only a few people get it. You have to meet minimums for them to be printed and stuff, so I'm trying to not overdo it. Alice asked if I use my tap water. I do. I have a well. Yeah, I got that, Jackson. I'm just not in a position to do anything with it just yet. Yeah, I have a bunch of fish-related tattoos. That comes up every stream. You know, it's not. You know, I have a bunch of fish-related tattoos. I won't be at the ALA. Otherwise, I'd be happy to sign your book if I see you. I just made a shrimp shirt yesterday. How do I heat what up? I set it at the tap. I have controls there, so I set my tap temperature at the tap. I generally do slightly cooler water changes. I don't temperature match completely. I just haven't found that it's necessary for the vast majority of fish, especially if you're only changing a percentage of the water. If you were doing like a massive, huge water change, then I try and match more closely, but my tap water in particular has a lot of CO2 in it, so I generally go on the cooler side because it seems to be more issues with micro bubbles and things like that in my hot water. Can an Oscar live with freshwater stingrays? Maybe. Depends on their temperament. Would you ever consider selling carnivorous plants? If I ever have enough to sell, I certainly would. What do I feed the bikers? I keep them at a temperature of around 78 degrees, and I primarily feed the little guys are getting hikari carnivore. The big boys get krill. They get like market shrimp, like people, the kind we eat, as well as some large floating pellets. But it's hard to find pellets big enough to feed my big fish. So that's why they often eat krill or things like that. I also will sometimes buy everybody crickets or earthworm, or dig up earthworms for them as a treat. The earthworms I purge on a bedded newsprint for a few days so they can get rid of some of the grit. You know, they're not particularly picky, but can you keep cherry shrimp with zebra danios? With caution, they will eat the baby shrimp. I mean, as a new fish hobbyist, do you recommend cycling your tank fully? Yeah, if you can, or at least getting media for if there's someone that you can trust to supplement the cycle. It's always better for fish to not have to go through the cycling phase. What's your favorite betta fin? I like the wild bettas best, honestly. It's certainly warm enough to ship shell dwellers, but I'm not shipping now and I'm not selling my shell dwellers. Pygmy sunfish are doing great. Here in a few minutes we'll look around at some of the fish. Yeah, I use rapashi all the time. Someone just asked. Floating plants in an aquarium with turbulent surface. You know, you're really going to have a hard time unless you make some sort of like, you can use suction cups and fishing line at the surface to make like a little corral, for lack of a better word, that you can use to hold floaters so they don't get blown all over. But I generally don't keep floaters in a hill stream tank or a fast flowing tank. Do we keep reptiles? My daughter has a western hognose snake. Any recommendations from where you can buy native fish? I mean, Google it. That's what I did when I was looking for them. There's a bunch of Florida businesses that'll sell natives. Read the reviews. Make your choice from there. Hi, Abdullah from Saudi Arabia. Love the big bull Bettas. What makes the middle of the leaves go back? Rot. The leaves get old. You need to trim them off and nick the rhizome, and then new leaves will be sent out. Best low light plants that don't need CO2. I have a whole fish room full of them. Anubias, Balbitas, Java fern, all the various fern types. Some crypts, some swords, pennywort, guppy grass, dwarf chain sword, four-leaf clover. I mean, there's tons and tons of plants that will do quite well without CO2. Buses, yeah. You know, there's tons and tons of plants. Now, that's not to say that they wouldn't do even better with CO2, but they certainly don't require it to live. Thank you, James, for the super chat. Any plans to come to the UK? I haven't been asked, so no, not as of right now. Here's the thing, like, I think there's been some misunderstandings about my travel. Generally, when I travel, it's to speak at events, and when you're asked to speak at events, they pay for your travel. Otherwise, you know, I'm a mom of 3, we're a family of 5. There is absolutely no way that I can afford to travel all over, the hotels, the flights, any of it, to travel. So I have to be invited to by an aquarium organization, a convention, etc., in order for me to be able to do that. Like my recent trip to Mexico was all paid for by Karak. I mean, they flew me out, they put me up, they fed me, I lectured, I was available all weekend to meet with all the membership, and you know, so there were some iffy comments about it being a holiday and about YouTube paying for my holiday, which is absolutely not the case. And also, YouTube doesn't make that much, especially not with a small channel like mine. So, you know, there's some wonky notions out there. I've been traveling to speak now at aquarium clubs all internationally and nationally for over 10 years. And it's really the only way that I get to travel to meet now you guys. but also to, you know, before I did YouTube, it was the only way I could share the information that I'm so passionate about. And I love it. I enjoy it. You see a whole lot of hotels. It's not generally as much fun as the Mexico trip is. Hey, Bob. What's the best tank size for a Cuban gar? Honestly, like a 600 gallon. Now, they don't grow particularly quick, but they do get quite large. Now, mine, as I mentioned yesterday, I think is kind of stunted from being part of a graduate study on feed. So, I mean, he's not stunted from my care, but I think he was stunted when he came to me. Parkton, that's not that far from me. How many gallons altogether do you have? I have no idea. Thousands and thousands and thousands. Especially if we consider what's in the greenhouse and outside, although it's not running now, so technically that wouldn't count. Is 5 gallon big enough for a pair of Pygmy Sunfish? Absolutely, but I would really recommend you jam that thing full of plants, because Pygmy Sunfish can be relentless to each other. Now, they'll breed too if you make it chock full of plants, things like guppy grass or moss or anything that has really dense leaf structure. Can you keep German rams in a 29? Yep. What's the best way to lower pH? Honestly, an RO/DI unit or collecting rainwater if you're in an area where that's safe and legal. Can I see one of your Java fern? Yeah, when I get up. Trying to not walk more than I have to these days, especially with this cold, damp weather. I'm struggling. Thanks for the compliments on my hair. Yeah, I just got it cut this week. Finally, I was about a month overdue. Smallest size tank to keep a betta in. I don't like going under 5 gallons. I actually prefer 10 gallon, but the longer 5 gallons are also fine. Moving from Maryland to Florida, any recommendations on how to move fish in aquariums? Have it be the last thing you break down and the first thing you set up. If you can get a water report before you move to see how different things are going to be, that's a good idea, because if it's relatively similar, and depending on what part of Maryland's water's pretty hard, and Florida's water is generally pretty hard, you'll probably be just fine as far as parameters go, but I would package the fish like you were shipping them, so 1/3 water, 2/3 air, in an insulated box, kept in a temperature-controlled area with some polyfilter in the water. And then as soon as you get into your new house, set up the aquarium and get the fish set up. That's what I did when I moved here. You can also use coolers, but the thing is when you're moving, there can be a lot of jostling in the cooler, which can be pretty stressful. So I prefer to just bag them up like I am for shipping. Yeah, I'll be putting fish in the greenhouse. That's the entire point of it. If you're collecting wild wood, what's the best way to prepare it? Yeah, boiling and soaking. I like to take a wire brush to it and remove any really soft spots, because otherwise it just rots in your tank and makes a mess. What's the most expensive fish you ever bought? My Cuban gar. I collect rainwater all the time, Casper. I really like it. It's an easy way for me. I have a well, so I don't like to use RO because I don't want to waste any of my water. Do all of my kids have pets of their own? Yep. Also, do I have a son or all daughters? The oldest is 21. He's my stepson. He's already out and living on his own. I've been with his dad since he was 1 year old. And then I have 2 daughters, aged 15 and almost 14. Clelia turns 14 here in 15 days. Do I grow submersed plants in your summer tubs? Yes, both immersed and submersed. One of my swords has a runner. How long should I wait before cutting and planting the new plant? I usually wait until they have several leaves and the start of little roots. When does diving start? Diving feels like it never ends. She has a dive meet this weekend, and up through June. It starts in about November and goes through June for her competitive season, because she's on the USA diving team as well as high school. So high school's been over, but USA diving is just ramping up. which plants are best for outdoor tubs. I would really encourage you to look through the last 2 years of summer tubbing playlists. I've gone over that a whole lot, and I just did another video a couple weeks ago, and I'll be doing another one here shortly on the plants that I choose. Generally, what I recommend is to go to your local nursery if that's where you're purchasing your plants, and see what they have on offer. I try and pick things that are suitable for my zone, unless I have a plan for overwintering them, or if I'm just going to toss them. My moss has BBA. Should I toss it? You could try treating it with peroxide or using a monos, but you know, that's up to you. Oh, my back is killing me today. What do I think about Pseudomugil luminatus? I think they're really beautiful. Do I keep goldfish? Yes, outside. I have 3 Sarasa comets. I'd like to get shabunkins, but I don't really know where to get them. Goldfish is not really my wheelhouse or strength. I've toyed with the idea of having a pond put in the yard. It's not really in the budget right now. But if I did, I would definitely stock it with goldfish rather than koi, because koi gets so large. How long can nearite snails survive out of the tank? A few days. Will I ever get a saltwater tank? Maybe. Yeah, I know Solid Gold does goldfish, but I don't know how, when she's in Florida, I'm in Pennsylvania, she's going to be particularly useful for me to find fish. I'd rather get them locally, if possible. Goldfish produce a lot of waste, and I don't really like having them shipped to me. Would I like some mollies? No, I already have too many fish for outside. I mean, wild South American mollies sound cool, but I already have so many fish that I'm not sure quite how I'm going to fit them, that I probably shouldn't get more right now. I should probably focus on what I've got. I would certainly talk to Jenny about getting goldfish if I planned on buying them online or something. But as I mentioned, I don't. I don't need to have like show quality, beautiful goldfish. I just want some that are cute and healthy. It's not like I'm going to enter them into fish shows. So as long as I like how they look, that's what will matter to me. I don't like a lot of the distorted bodies and eyes and things like that. I prefer more natural body shape, which is why I have the Sarasas right now. I haven't met her yet, no. I think we're meeting for sure in August. We're both going to be at the same event. Do I keep discus or angels? Neither right now. Both I've kept and bred in the past. Gosh, it's already been almost half an hour. How many hens do I have? We have 6 right now. They're ancient. They're about 5 or 6 years old. We have red sex lynx and barred rock. Thank you, Magic 21, Mom. I appreciate it. Let's take a look at some fish. Oh, God, I don't feel like getting up. Sorry, guys. I gotta unplug you and unwrap you. I didn't feel like moving my my ladder, or my big ladder that I usually use to hold the tripod for this. So you are wrapped around my step ladder. What do you guys want to see first? Oh my goodness, there goes the chat. What other kind of animals do we have? Chickens, cats, snakes. Captain first? Okay. He was in rare form earlier. Let's see. Hello, phone. There we go. Say hello, Captain. Look at him. He's making all sorts of faces at you guys. He thinks we're going to feed him. That's why he's snapping at the glass like that. He's pretty happy these days. The top minnows I gave away, they were being too territorial, and I didn't want to end up moving them into my 150, so I gave them to a local guy. They were gorgeous, but I was watching them. I have one left by accident, but I was watching them just terrorize each other, so I figured, you know, just give them to someone who had a better setup for them than what I had planned for them. There's one of them right there. There's the big boys. You know, the gar will spot us and come and start doing his wiggle dance. What? No wiggle dance today? Where's the Cuban? Oh, he's in the back. There he goes. It's only a matter of time. Yeah, Whiskey is chilling out. He generally does chill out. Every once in a while he gets a wild hair and goes running around. The Odos are doing freaking awesome. Jason, why are you doing this? That's an easy solution. Here's the 75. The Odos were going bonkers earlier. I think they may have been spawning. I did pull the Trifasciatus out of here just because this male here, that Episto there, was just being relentless, and since that guy has a female, I'm leaving them in here for now. Wish it was easier to moderate through, but the 75 has been really, really rewarding. It's one of my favorite tanks in the fish room currently. Sorry about that. I was adjusting the pennywort in the back today. It's creeping across the whole back, which is nice. But the Odos are being kind of chill right now. How about the baby bikers? They're doing pretty well. There's more. They've actually grown quite a bit. They're more than finger length now, and they were like little pinkies. The sponge filters in the greenhouse were ATI Pros. Well, my kids are at school right now, so they wouldn't be very helpful moderating. It's part of the reason I do the live streams now, because I have time. I don't always have time in the evenings. Someone asked about Blackwater. This is one, but again, you can't see much. This has wild bettas, which I'm looking for. Oh, there's one right above the log in the back. Can't really see a whole lot of it, but there's like 3 or 4 in here, I think. We can look at the Shelleys. Captain, quit being so sassy. Now these guys also think they're being fed. See them all coming up into the front. They're like, ooh, food. There's a ton of new fry in here again. Will I ever get an alligator gar? No. They get too big. The green blue, it's just the color of the shells. It's not algae. This tank does have a little bit of diatom algae on the glass, but that green is the color the shells have been since I got them. I'm not entirely sure what it is. Yeah, the Shelleys are in well water, but I use a substrate. This substrate is full of crushed coral to harden things up a little bit. So yeah, they're doing really well. I wish I saw my Synodontis more in here. That's the only thing, but they tend to be pretty elusive. The rock, that's lava rock. It's inert. The yellow-tailed fish is a Cyprichromis sardine cichlid. It's probably the most fragile fish I've ever had shipped to me. You only ever see 2. So they're gorgeous, don't get me wrong. Look at that guy. Whew, sexy beast. So someone asked me my opinions about sponge filters. The reason I use sponge filters is because I am filtering all of these aquariums. And if I were to be running canisters or hang-on backs on all of these aquariums, that is a massive amount of power. Right now I run the entire fish room from one 80-watt pump. So it's only 80 watts of power to filter the entire fish room. Now I do have a few canisters around as well, but it's certainly much more energy efficient for me to use a central system. And you can see the PVC that's run all around the fish room. That's where I drop the air line down from to each aquarium or row of aquariums. Goes the whole way around. I just put one in my greenhouse as well. And then I have my lighting all on the on a central timer. So I have boxes run around the fish room like that one that are labeled timer, you know, ones that aren't timer. And then that way my lights are on the same lighting schedule every single day, which helps with the energy bill and the plants. And I also think that keeping fish on a really well-structured lighting schedule makes them way less jumpy. I rarely lose fish to the floor despite not using lids on the vast majority of my aquarium. I don't know, it melted. It's starting to come back. Sometimes that happens. You know, this tank is low light, low tech. The fern was doing super well for about 2 years, and then it took a dump, and now it's coming back. We'll see what happens. I'm not particularly concerned about it. I mean, I thought all these guys were gonna die, and these crypts are going bonkers. Captain Cranky Pants, he's probably almost 12. I can't remember, honestly. I'd have to look up when I got him. All my tanks are low-tech, Candace. I don't use fertilizers in any of them, or CO2. So this is a low-tech tank. My friend Ricky came over a couple weeks ago and he took training wire to this ficus cutting. So now it's going to be bending across the surface and stuff. I think it looks way cooler than it did. I also have this other little light that I can turn on so you guys can see a little better. So no ferts, no CO2, no ferts, no CO2. No ferts, no CO2 in that one either. And you can see how heavily planted it is. None of my aquariums use ferts or CO2. This one, I mean, I do tend to use, well, not in every aquarium, but in a lot of my aquariums, I tend to use enriched substrates. I was going to do a video on the detritus worms, but they all disappeared, so I have to wait until I see them again. Can you sustain mystery snails on brown algae? Not really. They're not very efficient algae eaters. They do better if you supplement them. Like, check this out. I didn't check for 3 days. See if you guys will be able to see it. There's egg clutch, and another egg clutch there in this mystery snail tank. So 3 of them from these guys. Which is good. I kind of have mystery snails everywhere right now. Tons and tons of tanks. These guys, I'm falling in love with these Phoenix Rasboras. Or Phoenix Tetras. Why do I always say Rasbora? It's so irritating. The snail trap, let's take a look. I haven't checked it today. It appears to be full of snails. I feed my mystery snails Repashy. I feed them like some vegetables, pellets with added calcium, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, lots of snails in there. Let's see if we can find Mr. Episto. Well, he's camera shy. There he goes. I keep expecting to see fry from this aquarium because the fish are doing so good. No snow today, luckily. Anything else you guys want to see before I sit back down? Pygmy sun tank mates. I prefer pygmy sunfish in the species tank, honestly. You know what's looking really good in here are all these barbs in the retirement community. The fish room's kept at 84 degrees. Oh, pygmy gouramis? Sure. I don't know what you want me to say about brown algae. You'd have to ask a more specific question. These are the labuca and pygmy gourami, if it'll focus. No, I don't keep golden white clouds. I have regular white clouds and longfin white clouds. Plecos, okay, we can look at those real quick too. There's like 80 bajillion D, majillion D albino ancestris fry in this aquarium. They're breeding me out of house and home, honestly. There's a Soelia that doesn't belong in that aquarium. Yeah, I have pygmy sunfish. Then we have super reds. If they're out and about, there's some fry in there too. If I feed the tanks, the fish, there you can see a female on the sponge filter. You know who was really out and about today that is unusual is my L173Bs. These zebra types. You see it behind the heater there? I saw, oh, and there's one on the Pleco Cave too. Usually you don't see a whole lot of these guys, but they're out and about today. There's another tail back there. It's nice to see these guys. And then I have Hypancistris contraden. These spotty dudes. They're kind of within the wood here, so not that easy to see. This aquarium also has ancestris. These Leatacara are all fired up lately. I think they're setting up to spawn, though I haven't seen any eggs yet. But this one's been defending territory like a monster. And there's one down here that's been in this tube. See their little smiles? That's why they're called the smiling Acara. Really stinking cute. The ugliest fish I have is this ugly mug. Tell him, Captain. Tell him. Oh, I'm just kidding. You're not really ugly. Alright, that's enough of the fish. Let me get you guys reattached to my stand here. Yeah, Captain is a cutie. I mean, how can you not love a face like that? Yeah, my surgery's total replacement. Total replacement. So I don't have any connective tissue left in my knee, so it's just bones grinding on bones nonstop. What's the best place of, or best kind of Pleco cave? I buy them from two sources. One is South Central Cichlids, which is my friend Nancy. Hers are wonderful, sanded inside and out. And then there's another one, plecocaves.com. That's good. That's Brantley Berry. Brantley's in Indiana or Ohio. I think he's Ohio actually, and Nancy's located in New Jersey. Captain, you should consider an Oscar, but just make sure you have a big enough tank. They really need at least a 75 in my opinion. You know, they can do all right in a 55 if they're a smaller one like Captain, but more dilution always makes life easier with them. Yeah, it's just one knee. The other knee is perfectly fine. Do I or any of my family like fishing? We all enjoy fishing. We all enjoy fishing. We have to stay on blood thinners. No, they got rid of that practice recently. They found that it didn't really do anything. I have to take an aspirin a day to prevent clots, but that's it. They don't put you on Coumadin or whatever it is anymore. I'll be up and moving, although painfully the first day. I'll be on a walker for 2 to 4 weeks, and then just go from there. If I don't do my rehab properly, I'm going to have surgery again for them to remanipulate the knee. So I am very motivated to follow the doctor's orders to a T so that I don't have a prolonged recovery. Do I use red wigglers? Yes. It's not quite warm enough yet. I usually cultivate them outside with our compost. Watermelon tetra? I don't think so. I'll have to check them out. It's my favorite pleco. It depends on what day you ask me or what time of day you ask me. I'm a catfish hoarder. I have tons of species, and you know, I have way more than I show, so I can't really pick a favorite. Would I ever go on a collecting trip? Once I have this new knee, man, the world is going to be my oyster. I haven't gone on collecting trips because I haven't been able to walk on uneven surfaces for over 10 years without falling down, and the idea of falling down in areas where I could get substantially hurt from that was just not appealing. So hopefully, you know, that'll be something that I'll get to do. I have not accepted any speaking engagements for 2019 because I want to make sure that I have my travel options open for opportunities that arise. So, you know, we'll see what happens next year. We'll see what happens the rest of this year. It's difficult to predict the unknown. Yeah, I'm putting the rice fish outside. Favorite whiptails? The little red dudes. Ooh, that Leoticara. Man, that sucker's fired up. Do you know? No, I don't know how many tanks I have. I'd rather not know how many tanks I have, in all honesty. Any good aquarium conventions in San Diego? I don't know of any coming that way. If you guys have a subscription to Amazonas magazine, you can get a digital one. It's like 3 years for less than $40 or something. They keep a really great calendar of events for all the clubs in North America. So not just the United States, but Canada and Mexico as well. It also comes in the back of the print magazine, but I find that to be the best way to find where everything is happening. I will be attending the aquatic experience. I don't know if I'm speaking or not. I'll definitely be there, though. It's practically in my backyard. What magazine? Amazonas magazine. It's a fantastic magazine. I'm gonna try and make it to Reefapalooza, which is at the same place as Aquatic Experience, but in June, I think. Maybe it's not June. Yeah, it is June. I think it's the weekend of June 23rd. And then I'll be in Ontario and Toronto the weekend of June 10th. I'm giving the keynote for their convention for the banquet. I'll be in Boca Raton, Florida for Predatory Fins opening end of August. I'll be in Winnipeg, Manitoba in November, I think, November 18th. That's all I can remember right now. I do have an events calendar on my website, which is msjinx.com. If you click the events thing, it lists every place I'm going to be generally with a link to the event, or at least the address and everything. So we'll see. Thanks, Gina. Taking a break from my channel during my recovery? I hope not. I hope to keep going. I don't know if I'll be able to do as many a week as I'm doing right now, but I'm really hoping that with help, I'll be able to get out to the greenhouse and give you guys updates on the carnivorous plants and the fish if they're out there and the plants out there. I'm going to try and get down to the fish room at least once a week. The first week may not be possible, but at least once a week to check on the fish. And I'm going to try and have my husband or kids help me with some filming. But we'll have to see. Again, like, can't predict the unknown. So my intention is to continue to at least put 1 or 2 videos out a week. I sincerely doubt I'll be able to do 3 or 4 like I am now. But, you know, I know firsthand how much I look forward to the channels I'm subscribed to. So I don't really want to let you guys down by not keeping you updated on what's going on around here. So we'll see how I feel, you know. Yeah, I thought about doing live shows. The only thing I'm worried about doing live from the greenhouse is the internet connection out there is weak because it's really far from my router or whatever it's called. So we'll have to see. We will have to see. I can always do an update on Sid Fishes for you guys. Maybe that'll be a good opportunity to, who knows, I'll come up, if you guys have any ideas of things you want to see, let me know. If I couldn't keep giant fish or small fish, what would I keep? Those are the things I'm interested in. I don't know why I wouldn't be able to keep one or the other. I'll be able to, like, I'll just have to go slow down to the basement. You know, the bigger problem is like, since I'm going to be on a walker, crutches, or a cane, I'm not going to have any hands or only one hand free, which is not the easiest way to film, because when you use a camera, it takes 2 hands. Otherwise, it's like a wiggly wobbly mess. So we'll have to see what happens. I did try a booster for out there, and it was woefully unsuccessful. So we'll see. Maybe I'll set up a mobile hotspot or something and see if that works. Body cam for a GoPro. I don't have a GoPro. I'm not going to buy one for a month of my life. It's not in the budget. I just got that Sony, which was way over budget, but totally worth it. Thank you, Brooke. If I saw the email, or if I saw the donation, I always send an email. So if you sent one, I really apologize if I didn't email you. I can look into it. Hey, Mike. Thank you. Monopole for my camera. Yeah, you know, I have a bunch of different little rigs, but the problem I'm having is I changed my camera equipment, so none of my old stuff works for the new stuff. So I need to upgrade other things as we're going along here. I need a new tripod desperately. I'm sure you guys have heard mine creaking in videos. I picked up a cheapie like 1.5 years ago, just because it was all I could afford, and it's an absolute piece of garbage at this point. But the really good tripods are a few $100, and I haven't shipped fish since December. So spending that kind of money on something when I have something that at least works a little bit, not really a top priority now. Once I'm back into the swing of things, end of this summer, then I'll be able to upgrade more equipment again and stuff. There's not really any camera rental places around here, Karen. Otherwise I would. The closest one's about 1.5 hours away. So it's not the most practical. I know you can do it online. I know BH Supply. There's a bunch of rental ones. But you know, I just need to upgrade it. It's just going to take some time. Yeah, B&H is great. I like to buy my equipment from them. I'd love to go visit their store. I think it's in Manhattan. I think there's also, is there one in Philly too? No, that's Ritz Camera. But anyway, I live in the middle of nowhere, so there's not a whole lot happening around here, which is just the way I like it, in all honesty. What was my first fish? African dwarf frogs and then mystery snails. Yeah, right near Madison Square Garden. I'd like to visit that store, at least just to window shop. They have some great deals online too, where they'll sell certified used equipment, which is kind of neat, especially for lenses, because lenses are expensive. So, you know, someday. I think Captain's pretty angry at me that we didn't feed him, but he was already fed today. I did a user error and fed him this morning. But I think he thinks whenever he sees the camera, he's going to be fed. We have about, I think, maybe 10 more minutes before I have to get back to work. I still have to do a bunch of water changes today. I'm hoping my pond plants I ordered are coming in. I didn't get him crickets yet. I mentioned that yesterday, actually. I need to go to the store and get him crickets. I think I'll give him a dedicated video from the super chats you guys sent him the last time I live streamed. He's gonna have a big old pot belly on him after that. I don't have any African dwarf frogs now, but I did keep them for a long time. What's the best reading green spot algae on your glass? An algae scraper or razor blade, in my opinion. Are pygmy sunfish an easy fish to keep? No, I don't consider them to be easy. Generally, they like live food. Sometimes you can get them onto frozen, and they're snarky little tiny things. If you keep them outside or if you keep live food cultures, they're not hard, but that's generally not, having to culture live foods doesn't usually fall into the easy category of keeping fish, in my mind. More like moderate. Is gravel vacuum necessary? I think so. Do I keep any crustaceans? I keep a ton of shrimp, a ton of snails. Right now crayfish are illegal in my state, so no, none of those. Hey Chuck, nice to see ya. How are those Indostomas doing? Captain Cranky would be the champion of back alley fish fights. He's got a lot of experience and he's not worried about messing up his pretty face. Crazy breeding, that's great. I hope you're catching some of it on camera. Have I ever kept axolotl? Yes. My fish room's too warm for him. Chuck, you're in Buffalo, right? Maybe when I go to Toronto, we can set up a time for me to swing by if you're still keeping them. No, I meant video, Chuck. Oh, well, you need good pictures, too, because I think you should write an article on them. Oh, my goodness. I am getting the hairiest of hairy eyeballs. Good old Dieter in his book. Yeah, the Dieter Untergasser Handbook of Fish Disease is a wonderful book. Captain eats red wigglers. I just feed them whole. I think someone was asking them. I don't feed them to my small fish. They're just too big. So when I'm feeding them to Captain or the big boys or like baby Endleys, I just feed them whole. There's no need to chop them. Why were crayfish banned in my area? It has to do with fishermen, honestly. People were collecting crayfish as bait, taking them to different spots to fish with, and then if they didn't use them all, dumping them into whatever waterway they were at, which makes them, quickly become invasive, or at least impact the ecosystem of those other waterways. So rather than them instilling more fishing laws, they just banned crayfish. No, they're completely banned, Ken. As of maybe 2012 or 14. Is what it is. Best advanced fish keeping book? I mean, I would really go for the specialty books, so depending on there's not a general advanced. I mean, that's sort of an oxymoron anyway. There's lots of great cichlid books, there's lots of great catfish books, there's lots of great Choriodoris books. Depends on what you're interested. What's an illegal fish species you wish were legal in Pennsylvania? Snakeheads. Some of the dwarf snakeheads are so cool. But, I mean, they're banned everywhere. I don't know. Rachel for president. No, you guys probably wouldn't like my politics. Yellow Breeches is about 20 minutes from here. I think it's up near Mechanicsburg, just below Harrisburg. I fished the breaches before. I have some friends that live up there, so it's pretty close. I live about a mile from the Susquehanna River, as well as all the feeder creeks, Cadorus Creek and all that stuff. So I live right on, you know, my kids walk to the river to like, we call it Redneck Beach, to hang out at Redneck Beach. 50% water change too much? No. All right, a couple more questions, then we're gonna end it off here. I still have errands to run, and I have to drive my daughter to diving tonight. Whoa, there we go. Do I test my freshwater? Infrequently. I mean, my fish room's been running for over 10 years. If I see something that makes me suspicious at this point, I'll test just to see what's going on, but I probably should test way more than I do. But I don't test that much because everything just kind of runs like clockwork. I mean, everything's been established for so long. I think my newest aquarium down here is like 6 years old. So, well, no, my 150 is like 2.5. How old was when I started the fish hobby? I had fish as a kid, but as an adult, I was about 23 or 24 when I got back into it. I'll be 40 this September, so about 16 years now, 17 years. Thank you, Jeff Ross. Much appreciated. Any other last minute questions? If not, we're gonna wrap it up. Different people doing display tanks. Yeah, someone did a jacked up comment saying I was copying Joey. I've had a wall of tanks for 10 years. I just thought instead of having aquascapes sort of all over the place in the fish room, I'd consolidate and have one wall. And I thought it'd be a really great opportunity to feature some of the really talented individuals that are in North America, or I can't afford to fly anyone from Europe, but get them to do escape, talk us through the process, pick up some like really cool tips and tricks for you guys. And then I would have the opportunity to stock the aquariums and really be able to show different behaviors of the fish I recommend based on the aquascape. So I think it's a fantastic idea, and why anyone would think that's at all similar to what Joey's doing is beyond me. I mean, I've been to Joey's fish room, it's gorgeous, but it's not at all like what I do here. So that really kind of irritated me. So, you know, and Joey and I are friends anyway. It's not like I didn't already have 100 aquariums and walls of tanks. And it's not like he never had a bunch of aquariums. So it's just silly that people are throwing shade and trying to start controversy and being just asshats, honestly. It's so stupid. You know, it is what it is. It did get me down. I just, you know, sometimes I gotta give a mom smackdown and say, you know, get your head out of your ass. This is absolutely ridiculous. Why are you trying to create controversy where there's none? Yeah, so many asshats. So, yeah. And now I'm feeding the trolls. Good for me, right? But that's what the moderation feature on YouTube is all about. Yeah, Joey and I are very different types of fish keepers, but I think we have a lot in common as well. He's really interested in keeping fish in their best environment. He's interested in keeping things for the long term. You know, he likes to see his fish grow, mature, breed. He likes to utilize plants and natural decor. So, I mean, we have a lot of things in common, but I'll never focus on the fish that are necessarily easy to source. That's just not what I do. But I do think it would be a really unique platform that I have with all of you guys to sort of give some love to some of the talent that's out there, you know, and just really sort of promote them, promote aquascaping, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think it could be really fun and provide a lot of opportunity for growth within my channel and personal growth, me to learn things and then be able to share it with you guys. So, you know, that's my motivation. Plus, you know, I'm tired of selling so many fish, and the idea of having this beautiful wall of displays to enjoy really just sings to my inner geek. I'll always sell fish, but it'll be like this side of the fish room will be more for selling fish, and this side will just be for gratuitous fish enjoyment. So, you know, so at some point after the surgery and I'm recovered, I'll ask you guys, like, if there are particular aquascapers, and I do mean aquascapers, I do not mean YouTubers. I don't really think there's very many channels that are particularly proficient at aquascaping as an art form. I'm not talking about having YouTubers come and do what I can do. I'm talking about having people who have really unique talent and artistry to teach us things, you know, and set up something really new. George is a good example, but I don't know how I'm going to fly George Farmer in from the UK. But I think it would be, yeah, I could get Alex from Tank Tested. I would love. I also want to have my friend Ricky, who none of you guys I'm sure know. I've posted pictures of him on my Instagram and recommended you follow his Instagram. It's Chow Chow, I think it is. He's fantastic, and I'm gonna have him do a blackwater environment for licorice gourami for me. He's super talented. He's actually the guy that got me into hill streams and inspired my entire 150. Super talented dude. So I think he'd be fun to feature. Probably Jen, Kevin Kelly, John Pinney out in Chicago I'd love to have out, though logistically that may be difficult. Corey Hopkins from Texas, or Art Hep Hong, I'd love to have him out. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that I really admire. I'd love to find more women to feature. So, you know, at some point I'll be reaching out, you know, and getting your guys' input and getting the community's input on what you want to see. So, there's that little end of the stream rant and soapbox moment. So, thank you guys very much as always for joining me. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for buying my new t-shirts. They'll be going for a while. I'll put the link again for you guys in case you're interested and missed it. And I will see you on Sunday with a new video.